Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you for a second. He left you for somebody else? Good. Yeah, I said it good, because what walked away from you wasn't a loss, it was a lesson. Sometimes God got to subtract to multiply. You think you lost a man? No, baby. You just got delivered from something that couldn't go where you're headed. Your worth is not defined by someone who couldn't see it. Read that again, say it out loud, let it hit you deep in your chest, because that truth will set you free. See, too often we let the opinions, decisions, and actions of others become the mirror we use to reflect our value. Someone walks away and suddenly we question if we were enough. Someone chooses someone else, and we start to wonder if we were too much or not enough of something. We sit there picking ourselves apart, rewinding memories, overthinking moments, asking ourselves what we could have done differently. But here's what I want you to understand. Someone else's inability to recognize your worth has absolutely nothing to do with how valuable you are. That's their limitation, not your reflection. Imagine you're a diamond. Now, if someone doesn't understand how to appraise a diamond, they might treat it like a piece of broken glass. That don't make the diamond any less valuable. It just means the person holding it didn't know what they had. And when people don't know how to handle treasure, they tend to mishandle it. They ignore it. They misuse it. They leave it behind thinking there's something better, but a real one. Someone who knows value when they see it, they treat it differently, they protect it, they respect it, they never let it go. So stop letting someone else's poor taste make you feel like you're not good enough. Stop shrinking to fit in the small space they left behind. Because the truth is, the way they treated you says more about them than it ever could about you. Some people are just not capable of loving at the level you offer. Some people can't meet you where you are, not because you're too much, but because they're not enough for the kind of heart you have. That's not shade, that's just reality. And yes, I know it hurts, it stings when someone you gave your all to treats you like you were optional. But pain isn't proof of your inadequacy. It's just a sign that you care deeply. And that ability to love, to give, to pour into someone, that is your strength. That's your power. You don't lose that because they walked away. In fact, now you get to give that love back to yourself. Now you get to rise in the fullness of your worth without waiting for someone else to validate it. The moment you stop measuring your value based on who left, you make space for someone who sees you and says, that right there is rare. But it all starts with you seeing it first. Because when you know your worth, you stop entertaining people who don't. And when you walk in that knowing, the world starts treating you differently. Not because it changed, but because you did. The best revenge is not getting even. It's not throwing dirt back on the people who threw it at you. It's not texting back, not posting subliminal messages, not playing the same petty games they play with you. The best revenge is smiling again, is walking into a room and not flinching when you hear their name, is being so locked into your purpose, your peace, and your personal growth that they become a distant memory, not a current obsession. The real revenge is success. And I don't mean just financial success. I'm talking about soul level success. I'm talking about glowing so hard from the inside that even the people who try to dim your light have to admit you shine different now. See, when somebody leaves you or hurts you, there's this urge inside to prove something, to show them they made a mistake, to make them regret. But what if I told you that you don't have to chase that? What if I told you that the most powerful move you could ever make is to elevate in silence and let your life speak loud for you? Because here's the truth. Nothing hurts more than watching someone you thought you broke become everything you feared they would, not out of bitterness, but out of growth. Not to prove a point, but to prove it to themselves that they can still rise. Success doesn't have to be loud, but it will always be seen. When you heal, when you protect your peace, when you stop reacting to every little thing, that's growth. When you take all that energy you used to waste chasing answers, checking social media, comparing yourself to their new situation, and you reinvest that energy into your goals, your body, your mindset, your spirit, that's power. That's transformation. That's the kind of glow that can't be faked, can't be rushed, as sure as hell can't be ignored. Revenge is waking up and not needing closure anymore. It's choosing not to be bitter. It's knowing you could say something, but choosing silence because you've matured. It's walking past what used to break you and realizing it no longer holds the same weight. It's building a life so full, so rich, so meaningful that you don't have time to look back because your future is demanding your full attention. Let them watch. When they see you walking in peace, glowing in your own lane, thriving without them, trust me, that's when it falls apart on their side. Not because you fought back, but because you didn't need to. God doesn't remove people to hurt you. He removes them to protect you, to redirect you, to clear the path that you were too emotionally attached to let go of yourself. See, sometimes we're holding on to something so tightly, praying it works out, begging for it to stay, not realizing that what we're asking for is actually blocking what's better. We think the loss is punishment when it's really preparation. We cry over closed doors, not knowing what God was trying to keep us from walking into. We mourn the end of a connection, but God saw something behind the scenes that you didn't. Something that wouldn't have served your growth. Something that would have delayed your calling. When someone walks out of your life, especially when you gave them everything, it feels unfair. You start questioning yourself, asking, why me? What did I do wrong? But sometimes it's not about what you did wrong. Sometimes it's about what they can't handle. It's about how God heard conversations you never did, saw intentions you never would, and removed you before the damage could reach your soul. The breakup wasn't to break you, it was to build something in you, something stronger, something wiser, something more aligned with where you're really meant to go. And let's be honest, if God didn't take certain people out of our lives, we would have never left. We would have stayed in places we had no business staying in. We would have tolerated disrespect, accepted half-love, made excuses for their behavior. We would have continued shrinking ourselves just to be loved by people who only loved the version of us that was convenient to them. So when God steps in and removes someone, no matter how painful it feels, it's because he knows you're ready for more. He knows your worth even when you forget it. He knows your future even when you're stuck in your past. What you thought was rejection was actually redirection. What you thought was abandonment was actually alignment. God had to make room. He had to clear space for something real, for peace, for purpose, for someone who wouldn't walk away when things got hard, for someone who would pray with you, build with you, stand beside you when life gets messy. But before that person comes in, God needs to see that you trust him enough to let go of what he's removing. So when people leave, let them. When it ends, grieve it, but don't chase it. You're not being punished. You're being positioned. You may not understand it now, but one day you'll look back and say, I'm glad it ended. I'm glad they walked away. Because if they hadn't, I never would have discovered who I really am. And that right there, that's God's protection in disguise. You have to stop checking on them. Stop refreshing their page. Stop watching their stories. Stop reading to every post, every like, every update. Stop trying to decode their life like it's a puzzle you still need to solve. Because every time you check on them, you pause your own healing. Every time you look for signs they're missing you, you're ignoring the signs that you're missing yourself. And the longer you focus on what they're doing now, the longer you delay who you're becoming next. It's not just a distraction. It's self-sabotage disguised as curiosity. You don't need to know if they're happy. You don't need to know if they've moved on. And you definitely don't need to compare yourself to whoever's in their life now. That's not your lane anymore. That chapter is closed. And the more you reread it, the more you stay stuck in a story that's no longer being written. See, healing doesn't happen by watching someone else's highlight reel. Healing happens when you stop looking out the window and start looking in the mirror. Start checking in with yourself. Ask yourself the real questions. How am I feeling today? What do I need to heal? What am I avoiding? What kind of life do I want to build now that I'm no longer wrapped up in their world? Start tending to the parts of you that you've ignored while you were busy pouring into them. Start giving yourself the time, energy, attention, and love that you so freely gave away. Because if you can give that much of yourself to the wrong one, imagine what would happen if you gave even half of that back to you. You deserve to be more than a spectator of someone else's life. You deserve to be the main character in your own. But that means shifting the focus. That means unfollowing, muting, deleting if you have to. Not out of hate, but out of healing. That means choosing peace over proof. You don't need to prove that you've moved on by pretending you don't care. You move on by actually letting go. And that begins with shifting your gaze away from them and back onto you. Every minute you spend checking on them is a minute you're not checking on your dreams, your goals, your growth. That energy you're wasting watching their journey, you need that energy for your comeback. You need that focus for your transformation. Because the version of you that's on the way, they don't have time to stalk exes. They're too busy leveling up, glowing up, rising up. So today, make the decision. Not for them, for you. Let go of what they're doing and start getting curious about what you're capable of, because you are not behind. You are not broken. You're just being called back to yourself. And that's where the real healing begins. Pain is one of those things that touches us all. It doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't give a warning. It just shows up and sits in the middle of your chest like it owns the place. And when someone leaves you, betrays you, or breaks your heart, that pain can feel all-consuming. It wraps around your thoughts, follows you into your dreams, and shows up in the quiet moments when nobody's watching. But here's the truth most people don't tell you. Pain is not here to destroy you. It's here to transform you. The question is, will you let it push you forward, or will you let it keep you stuck? See, too many people turn their pain into a prison. They build walls around it, sit in it, replay it, live in it day after day. They stop trusting, stop loving, stop trying. They put their life on pause because someone hurt them. They start living in survival mode, guarding their heart so tightly that they forget how to live fully. But pain was never meant to be your final destination. It was only supposed to be a stop on the journey, something to pass through, not settle in. Let pain be your push. Let it be the fire that lights up your potential. Let it be the reason you finally say enough. I deserve more. Use that heartbreak to wake up the version of you that was sleeping. The one who forgot how strong, how capable, how worthy they really are. Pain can either paralyze you or propel you, and that choice, as hard as it feels, is always yours. Think about every strong person you admire, every story that moved you, every success that made you clap. Behind it, pain, struggle, rejection, rock bottom. But they didn't stay there. They used the pain to fuel the grind, to grow their faith, to shift their mindset. They didn't let it turn them cold. They let it make them real. And that's what you need to do. You don't have to pretend it didn't hurt. You don't have to smile through everything. But you do have to get up. You do have to turn that pain into power. Every tear you cried was watering something in you. Every sleepless night was shaping your next level. Every unanswered question, every moment of silence, every ache in your chest is not for nothing. It's part of the process. You're being refined, not ruined, elevated, not erased. And one day you're going to look back and thank the pain for waking you up. Because without it, you wouldn't have discovered just how much strength you carry inside. So don't sit in the pain and call it home. Don't make it your identity. Let it teach you, but not trap you. You are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to become in the aftermath. You are not broken. You may feel shattered, heavy, confused, exhausted from holding yourself together when everything inside is falling apart. But you are not broken. What you are is in the middle of a rebuild. And yeah, rebuilding is messy, it's painful, it's uncomfortable, but it's also necessary. Sometimes life has to tear down the old version of you so the new one, the wiser, stronger, more grounded version, can rise in its place. When someone walks away from you or life takes an unexpected turn, the first thing you want to do is blame yourself. You look in the mirror and start wondering, what's wrong with me? Why wasn't I enough? Why does it keep happening to me? But what if I told you it's not because you're not enough? It's because you've outgrown something that no longer fits where you're going. The ending wasn't to break you, it was to shake you. to wake you up to a version of yourself you haven't even met yet. The society would tell you that you're only valuable when you're whole, polished, and perfect. But real strength shows up in the cracks. Real growth begins in the wreckage. Some of the most powerful versions of you will be born from the very moment you thought would break you. But only if you stop telling yourself you're broken. You're not a mistake. You're not a failure. You're in transition. Just like a house under construction looks chaotic before it becomes beautiful, so do you in the rebuilding phase. Give yourself grace to be under construction. Everything that's falling apart is just making room for something more solid to be built. Every part of you that feels uncertain, insecure, unstable, that's where the foundation is being reinforced. The tears, they're washing away what no longer serves you. The silence, that's where clarity grows. The loneliness, it's making space for alignment. God isn't punishing you, He's preparing you. You're not lost, you're being rerouted. You're not forgotten, you're being preserved. What's coming is going to require a stronger, wiser, softer version of you. So everything that feels like it's breaking you down is actually building you up. Trust that. Trust the process. You don't have to rush it. You don't have to have all the answers right now. You just have to show up for yourself every single day, even if all you can manage is taking a breath and saying, I'm still here. Because being here, still standing, still fighting, still believing there's more for you, that's not broken. That's broken. So the next time you feel like you've fallen apart, remind yourself, this isn't the end. This is the rebuild. And what's being rebuilt will be stronger, purer, more powerful than anything that came before it. You're not broken, you're becoming.